Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi, my educational psychology students. How are you? Please stay healthy so you can learn well from your own home. Last week, we have discussed about learners with exceptionalities. I hope after learning about that topic, you can have broader and deeper knowledge on how to treat your special students later on. To make sure that you have understood and are aware about this topic, I want you to recall, starting from your own neighborhood, for example, is there any exceptional child in your surrounding? And so far, how do you treat them? Starting from now, try to observe what kind of exceptionalities they have and try to treat them based on the theories you have learned and see what happens. In today's learning video, we are going to discuss about another interesting topic, which is behavioral and social cognitive approach. By learning this topic, you all will be aware of how this approach influences your students later on. Today's learning video will be divided into 4 parts. First, what is learning? Second, behavioral approach to learning. Third, applied behavioral analysis in education. And fourth, social cognitive approaches to learning. And we will discuss it one by one. What is learning? Learning can be defined as a relatively permanent influence on behavior, knowledge, and thinking skills that comes about through experience. Approaches to learning can be categorized as behavioral or cognitive. Behavioral approach is the view that behavior should be explained by observable experiences, not by mental processes. For the behaviorist, behavior is everything that we do, both verbal and non-verbal, that can be directly seen or heard. Cognitive approaches means thought, and psychology become more effective or begin focusing more on thought in the last part of the 20th century. Behavioral approach to learning. The behavioral approach emphasizes the importance of children making connection between experiences and behavior. It includes 2 views, classical conditioning and operant conditioning. Classical conditioning is a type of learning in which an organism learns to connect or to associate stimuli so that a neutral stimulus becomes associated with a meaningful stimulus and acquires the capacity to elicit a similar response. Operant conditioning is a form of learning in which the consequences of behavior produce changes in the probability that the behavior will occur. When we talk about classical conditioning, we will be familiar with some terms such as generalization, discrimination and extinction, and systematic desensitization. Meanwhile, when we talk about operant conditioning, it will be closely related to reinforcement and punishment, the generalization, discrimination, and extension. Systematic desensitization is a method based on classical conditioning that reduces anxiety by getting the individual to associate that deep reflection and with successive visualization of increasingly anxiety-producing. A reinforcement is a consequences that increases the probability that a behavior will occur. Punishment is a consequences that decreases the probability a behavior will occur. Both classical and operant conditioning have generalization, discrimination, and extinction. Then, in what way we differentiate them? Generalization in classical conditioning involves the tendency of a new stimulus similar to the original conditioned stimulus to produce a similar response. Generalization in operant conditioning means giving the same response to similar stimuli. Discrimination in classical conditioning occurs when the organism responds to certain stimuli but not others. Discrimination in operant conditioning involves differentiating among stimuli or environmental events. Extinction in classical conditioning involves the weakening of the conditional response in the absence of the unconditioned stimulus. In operant conditioning, extinction occurs when a previous reinforced response is no longer reinforced and the response decreased. The third point today is applied behavior analysis in education. Applied behavior analysis involves applying the principle of operant conditioning to change human behavior. 6 operant conditioning strategies can be used to increase a child's desirable behavior. First, choose effective reinforcers. Make reinforcers contingent and timely. Select the best schedule of reinforcement. Consider constructing. Use negative reinforcement effectively and use prompts and shapings. Then, when teachers want to decrease children's undesirable behaviors, such as teasing, hogging a class discussion, or smarting off to the teacher, applied behavior analysts Paul Alberto and Anne Troutman recommend using these steps in this order. Use differential reinforcement, terminate reinforcement, remove desirable stimuli, and present aversive stimuli. Reinforcing and punishing consequences are part of teachers' and students' lives. Teachers give grades, praise, and smile. Learning about how such consequences affect students' behavior improves your capability as a teacher. Use effectively behavioral techniques can help you manage your classroom. Reinforcing certain behaviors can improve your students' conduct and can increase desired behavior. However, critics of operant conditioning and applied behavior analysis argue that the whole approach places too much emphasis on external control of students' behavior. They say a better strategy is to help students learn to control their own behavior and become internally motivated. Well, after hearing from the two opinions about behavioral approach, what do you think, everyone? Try to think about which one is better than another. Or do you think both are good in their own way? Or do you think both cannot be implemented in your classroom later on? Social cognitive approaches to learning. Bandura's social cognitive theory states that social and cognitive factors, as well as behavior, play important roles in learning. Cognitive factors might involve the student's expectation for success. Social factors might include students observing their parents' achievement behavior. Consider how Bandura's model might work in the case of the achievement behavior. Cognition influences behavior. The cognitive strategy improves achievement behavior. Behavior influences cognition. Studying has led someone to achieve good grades, for example. Environment influences behavior. For example, some schools might develop a pilot study skills program to help students learn how to take notes, manage their time, and take tests more effectively. The study skill program improves achievement behavior. Behavior influences environment. For example, the students' improved achievement behavior stimulates the school to expand the program so that all students in that school participate in it. Cognition influences environment. The expectations and planning of the school's principal and teacher made the study skill program possible in the first place. Observational learning is learning that involves acquiring skills, strategies, and beliefs by observing others. Bandura describes 4 key processes in observational learning: attention, retention, production, and motivation. Attention. Student must attend to what the model in the classroom case is teacher is doing or saying. Retention. Students must code the information and keep it in a memory so they can retrieve it. Production. Students might attempt to be a model and code in a memory what they have seen. Yet, because of limitation in their motor ability, they are not able to produce the model's behavior. Motivations. Students were given a reinforcement or incentive to imitate the model's behavior. Cognitive behavior approaches and self-regulation. The emphasis is on getting students to monitor, manage, and regulate their own behavior rather than letting it be controlled by external factors. Self-regulatory learning consists of self-generation and self-monitoring of thoughts, feelings, and behavior in order to reach a goal. These goals might be academic or might be socio-emotional. While keeping the behaviorist scientific flavor and emphasis on careful observation, they significantly expanded the emphasis of learning to include social and cognitive factors. Considerable learning occurs through watching and listening to competent models and then imitating what they do. The emphasis in the cognitive behavior approach on self-instruction, self-talk, and self-regulatory learning provides an important shift from learning controlled by others to responsibility for one's own learning. Some cognitive theorists point out that the approaches still focus too much on overt behavior and external factors and not enough on the details of how cognitive processes such as thinking, memory, and problem solving actually take place. After learning about the approaches today, which one do you think is better than another? To learn from watching and listening what behavior suggests, or to stimulate your own cognition? Try to reflect on yourself first. There is no right or wrong in this case, so don't worry. Well class, that covers what today's learning video is going to discuss. The assignment for this topic will be available in Spada. For the next learning video, we will discuss about the information processing approach and cognitive theories of learning. To be an independent learner, please read the material in advance and look for some other resources to enrich your knowledge in this topic. Thank you. Goodbye, class.